Charlotte Soccer Show World Cup Banter is back for day 4. It's your man Danny Brams in the house after a pool update. Went through the whole spreadsheet today. Really got in there with the spreadsheet. Going to talk about that here in just a minute, and really improved the quality of the spreadsheet for our fantasy pool. As I say hello to my good friend Matt Geslin, all the way across the country. We're bi-coastal as always on this show. And Matt, we're 4 days in. How'd it go for you? How was your day 4?
Fantastic. We are filming this before the sun sets here on the West Coast for me today. So finally got ourselves a normal time here. Great day all around again.
The faster update was huge for me. Like
yes.
In the last couple of days, I've not been able to really start updating the sheet until like 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
So, and we don't get like this video done until like 10 p.m. So yeah, now the sheet's completely done and we're recording the video at 7. We're making progress here.
We're flying. But it was a great day all around. Another great set of games. Almost got up for that 2:00 game this morning. I will get there before the end of this tournament. But I got up for the 5:00 to start. Rolled all the way through the Canadian-Belgium game. What can I say, Danny Brams? We're in the midst of it. We're in the thick of it, and this is where it gets fun. Another round of upsets. Some great football again today. And it just seems like this tournament just continues to just give us great twists and turns, surprises everywhere you look for the positive. And what a way to start opening week, last round tomorrow for the first game. So great way to start.
You can see the results and the standings scrolling there on the bottom of the screen, thanks to our awesome ticker. We will go into some of the games in a little bit, but first we got to take care of some housekeeping business.
Yep.
On the show, if you watched yesterday, we made a pretty big deal out of the fact that our boy John Hayes, the co-host of the soccer show, really the creator of the Charlotte Soccer Show philosophically and in the execution, we gave him some shit. We gave him a lot of crap because we said we had him as like finishing dead last. We said, oh, he didn't even break the 100-point barrier yet, and it was a mistake. That was faulty accounting. It was fraudulent call out, if you will. It was you could almost call it trolling if it had been intentional, but was it intentional? I don't know.
I don't know. I can't confirm nor deny if it was, but either way, we fixed it. We solved it. Danny Brams and Johnny Hayes, when he watches this, will feel much better now.
All I had forgotten to do was give him the 60 points from his captain Mbappe on the score sheet. Like that, no big deal. That didn't make any major difference or whatever. But want to say apologies to John. I don't apologize for the comments. I stand by the comments if they had been true. But because of the fact they weren't true, I do apologize for the scoring error that led to me making some untrue statements.
I never apologize to John Hayes, so we'll leave it there. Whatever it was, it came through. So.
Well, as we update things, John actually is now almost near the 200-point barrier. So let's bring up our score sheet and reveal. Let's do the big reveal of what happened because we have a new leader, Matt. We got a new leader. And the fact of the matter is, right before that, I just want to say this sheet this is a crazy pool. I've run it many years, as I say, and it's a labor of love. It's like a passion project that I do because I don't really do it because I like doing it. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't like doing it, but I like the fact that it's getting done. I like participating. I like playing in this pool. I like the concept of like one player per nation. So I was talking to one of the newer players in the pool earlier today, and she was like, "This is so fun because you really have to focus on every single game." And I'm like, "Yep, exactly." Yep. So it's a really cool concept, and I just want this kind of pool to exist, and so I have to run it because I've never been able to see it anywhere else. So I've always said if I could find a way to automate this or whatever, if a website like offered a game that was kind of like this, I would gladly just move it over there and be done with it. But and so I make errors. A lot of times as I'm building the sheet, I'm a lot of times I'm going Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V. I'm like constantly copy pasting info from one cell to another, and there's some mistakes that get made there. The people in the pool keep me honest. And I got two big thanks. First thanks is to Shane Shapansky, great friend of mine since college, old school friend. We go way back. Canadian. I'm sure he was really happy to see. He is an American citizen now, but he came from Canada, and probably had some Canadian love here for the Canucks playing earlier today. He went through with a fine-tooth comb on a lot of the cells, a lot of like missing scores that I had from the previous 3 days, and helped me out. So that got some of our scoring up to like where it needed to be. Didn't affect any of the daily prize results, thankfully, which if I ever have, the worst thing that could ever happen to me is if I pay out a daily prize and then find a scoring error the next day, and I'm like, go back and I'm like, oh shoot, can I get that money back?
Yeah,
like,
that's coming out.
You didn't actually win that
point,
prize.
Danny Brams. That's your mistake at that point.
It might have to be bank error in their favor on that one, yeah, for sure. But fortunately, that hasn't happened yet. But Shane helped me make a few fixes, and then you helped me. You gave me a few Excel tips to automate the sheet a little bit more. And now I'm feeling I was able to put a couple like formulas and, move over from one tab to the other automatically that I did not know how to do before. And now our sheet is humming. It's almost idiot proof at this point. And it's getting to the point where after tomorrow is the final round of like first games, after we get all these other games going, it's just going to update it. So I'll just be able to put, the points for the game in, and every tab will automate itself. Really looking forward to that.
Thank you very much. I want the use and the viewers to understand I did not benefit myself. I dropped 7 places today. Shane, with his adjustments, is all of a sudden coincidentally at the top. Right. So I just want to point that out. There might have been some books being cooked last night or this morning. I don't know.
I don't know if Shapansky was going through this thing with a fine-tooth comb because he knew he had scored some good points today and he figured he'd be up near the top of the scoring. Or if he was just doing it to build the good karma and it ended up that way. Who knows? But if you look up at the leaderboard, he's our new number 1. Shap, as we used to call him back in the day, or Shep actually, but one person called him Shap. Shep is sitting at 264 with 82 points in the day. Congratulations, Shep. Nice work, buddy. And this is, make of it what you will. I've actually never really performed very well in this pool. I always finish like out of the top 10, but here I am. A tease yet again. Danny Brams in second place with 262 points, a big rise. Shap was also our biggest rise. I think he was our second biggest riser. Ryan Fisher was who was our daily prize winner, by the way. He's moved himself up from 30th out of 42 to 10th. He's now in the top 10. So he was our biggest riser. Shapansky, the second biggest riser. And I was tied with Monig for the third biggest riser. And Alex Monig, a couple days ago, he was down in, down at the very bottom of the pool. And now all of a sudden he's up in the top 5. So
all the way up to 260 from almost less than 6 points in a couple days. So strong players all around, Danny Brams, like you mentioned. We won't talk about it too much that you're in second. There's a long way to go.
Right. So if I start, I don't, there's no, you can't accuse, like maybe people could accuse me of rigging things, but I try to think of myself as pretty honest, and any shenanigans I would ever try to pull off in this pool, I think would be caught pretty quickly. But I just try to be on the up and up. But it feels good. It feels good to be in second. We'll see if it holds. But Monig is now up in the top 5. Daniel Culp, he did pretty well on the first day. Now then he had kind of some slow days. But notice the consistency. He's just pumping out 80s every day. Not bad. So he's up here in the top 5. Dan Hirschberg, one of my all-time like soccer buddies of all time. Like we've been to a few soccer matches together. We used to get up way back in the day when English Premier League was like 1 game a week, on Fox Soccer Channel. We would always have watch parties on Saturday mornings back in the day. So love Hirschberg. Glad to see him doing well. There's Geslin. You held strong in 7th place 2 days in a row, but then you dropped. Now you're down, slipping.
That's okay. It's still early, Danny Brams. We had a weekday. As you can see, the numbers clearly not as high as yesterday. But we're still right there. We're hanging in there. We got on the outskirts looking in. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Another guy that's still in there, Jared Jackson, still in the top 10 with me after a couple
one leader.
Slips, but we're still hanging close. Cheryl Hahn, we're all, the 3 of us, we're going together in a little bit of a train. We're just kind of moving, creeping around there. We're saving ourselves, Danny Brams. We're getting there for the big games, round of 16s, quarterfinals. That's when you'll start to see us move up the board. So you guys enjoy it. You guys enjoy it for the moment. You guys enjoy it up there.
As I keep saying, it tends to be all about the captain picks. And so we had a few KDB captains today that helped some people do well. And let's look down in the cellar real quick. My boy, Vinny Cash, I've bragged him up as the best photographer in New York City. I stand by that. He's just an awesome sports photographer. Also a high school computer science teacher, I believe, if I remember correctly. Vinny, you told me one time. So we're gambling buddies. So, but we've actually never met in real life, but we chatted a lot. We hate to see people lingering down here. Johnny Hayes, he's trying. He did. he's got his way. You want to get out of this, under 30. You need to get into the top 30. I feel like otherwise you feel like you put in a bad performance. But
yeah, and again, we hate to harp on it, even though we made the mistake and we corrected it. It still didn't change the error that is, or the situation that John finds himself in, where Rachel is still leading the Hayes household today as of today. So he's there's a game within the game for the Hayes.
And so
this one.
Shout out to Rachel, great friend of the pool.
Yep.
Rachel, I believe, Rachel's our third. She was came close to the daily prize, third highest score of day 4. 11 points, 10 points, give or take, behind Ryan Fisher, our day 1 winner. Ryan, I will be getting you your daily prize very soon. And Rich Pascula with a nice day of 91. Shep with his 82.5. There's me, everyone that we just lured through at the top of the leaderboard because they had a pretty good day. Let's look real quick at Ryan Fisher's guys that he's got on his squad. And let's see how he won this today. He had Kimmich.
Yeah,
kind of a very chalky pick that worked out. KDB, pure chalk. One of the best ways you could avoid Ashraf Hakimi was the highest scorer for Morocco. That was a very sharp pick. I wish I had made that pick. I'm actually really disappointed I didn't make that pick, to be honest. I think he's probably going to continue to just crush for Morocco.
Agreed. Yeah, I think I have him on my team as well. Good
I think I have a Moroccan defender if I double check my team in a second. But let's see who else. Ferran Torres with a brace obviously helped Fisher take down first place on the day. And so what I was saying was one way, you might notice on the ticker if you've seen it scrolling by, one way to do well today, and even though this doesn't apply to me, but one way to do well was just to not have Keylor Navas.
Correct.
Keylor Navas is the Costa Rican keeper, and a lot of people went to him because it's like, A, you don't expect Costa Rica to have any good players, right? Anyway. So, and then B, you don't really, you're not banking on them to go far. So you're like, who would be my pick, right? So not many other Costa Ricans were picked. 31 out of 42 took Navas because it's just like, how bad could he hurt me, right? What's he going to do? He's going to get like maybe a negative, somewhere between -2 and like 6 or 8 points is probably his range based on saves. He's not going to give up. Surely he's not going to give up 7 goals in a game and have 1 save, right?
No. And I don't even think we thought about 7 during the game. I mean, there was no way that 7 was what you had in your head. And then all of a sudden you watch that game and it could have been 10, to be honest. And I mean, 75% of the pools taking Keylor Navas, one of those games where you're getting maybe a couple extra points if you took someone like Joel Campbell, but in this instance, it's kind of a loss for everyone. And you chalk it up, like you said, as I think you mentioned it the other day, goalies are not really the priority when we get into the knockout round. So kind of chalk it up just kind of chalk it up as carnage for the day, and hopefully
just as I scroll across, it's just Navas.
Everywhere. Yeah, everywhere.
If you don't have a highlighted cell here as I scroll past your name, you probably did pretty well on the day. So
exactly.
Brutal. My friend Jessica Charman, she reached out and she said, "Oh man, she's new to the pool." She's like, I don't know if this pool is for me, Dan. I seem to be I can't be doing well with Navas. And I was like, Jess, don't worry about it. Everybody had Navas. It's okay.
Everyone had Navas. Yeah, exactly.
And Jess, with her team, you can see she kind of prioritized goalkeeper a little bit.
I was going to say, was she petitioning for more goalies, or was she confident with the 4 that we allowed for the selection?
Right. Yeah. You'd think. I mean, Jess played goalie as a college player. So yeah, she would have been happy to have the fantasy game be entirely goalies,
all keepers as far as the whole way we go. Yes, exactly.
But that's pretty much the wrap up on the pool. What do you think about the action on the pitch? Let's talk about that real quick. Which game do you want to talk about first?
Man, I think we saved the snoozer for the end, or maybe in the middle,
or just never talk about the snoozer,
or just never talk about it. To be fair, I mean that Croatia-Morocco game was just, was that a poor watch for the day, considering that there was just so much action on the day, Danny Brams. You never mind a 0-0 game. That's part of football. That's why we watch. We're very used to it as fans. But man, you don't want to watch a 0-0 boring game like that one this morning was. Thankfully, it was at 2:00, the opener. Hopefully all of you were sleeping and not watching it. We just gave you the recap, so you don't have to watch the highlights. But that game was just a snoozer. And then you had another upset. This tournament once again proving that no matter what, you have to come out for your A game to start. If you don't, you're going to get caught. And again, one of the favorites for the tournament, one of the all-time great nations. I hate to say that as a Frenchman, but when you have 5 stars on your name, that's kind of, they give you that luxury. So Germany goes down to Japan. The rising sun rose today, and it took out the Germans. Crazy all around.
Well, this whole game really made me think of one of my favorite songs by the band Wilco, if you're familiar, which is Impossible Germany, Unlikely Japan.
Exactly.
And here it happened. It was impossible for Germany to look sleepier and more less interested than they did in this match, and Japan became your unlikely winners because of that. The subs paid off huge for Japan. Ritsu Doan subbed in and scored a few minutes later. Takuma Asano subbed in and scored the winner late. And Japan just wanted it more in the second half. Like, Germany completely outclassed Japan early, but never really had much scoring. Like I wasn't scared that they were going to score too much. You could see they crushed the momentum meter if you look over here on the left side of the screen. But really, it was just a penalty that they scored on, and it was what can you do?
Yeah, one of those games. Again, like we were talking about yesterday with Argentina going up first. You gotta. These teams are not going to go away. You have to put the foot down. And you have to put them away. And so, Germany has the lead again in this game. Again, to your point, they weren't really that entertaining, though, going forward. They weren't really showing a flash. They obviously had the ball the whole game. And then, again, second half, these teams go into the break. They're only down 1. They have a chance. That's a victory. And then what's the difference? If you're, in the case of Saudi Arabia yesterday, if you're Japan, not much expected of you in the tournament. You're only down 1 goal in the second half. Go for it.
And they didn't waste time. No. Look at this. Half times. Okay. Kubo's not working. Let's bring in Tomiyasu. Get a different wing attack out there. They shifted the formation around a little bit, and they went to more of sort of a 3 at the back with 2 wing backs. So that paid off. Kaoru Matoma, he should be starting for this team. He's been crushing it in the Premier League for Brighton recently. And if you look at Japan, their average age of their starting level was 29, which isn't particularly old, but they did have a couple of young guys bring that down. Sakai and Nagatomo as your starting fullbacks at 32 and 36 years old, I think.
It's tough.
Just not going to work. And so I don't expect them to start with that fullback pairing in the next game for sure. I don't, but we'll see, especially because Sakai left with a bit of an injury. But
and that's the thing, though. You also don't expect it, right? Because this was the toughest game that they were going to, one of, obviously this is a very difficult group, but how do they line up in their third game against Spain?
Yeah, right? Spain might be a little tougher at this point.
I mean, based on what we saw, one of those things. But how do you line up? Are you going to need the points at that point? Are you going to kind of rest some guys? There's a lot of players. We've talked about it at length a couple times. Just how this tournament changes on you so quickly, and how you have to be thinking even further out than just your game that you're playing.
If Japan beats Costa Rica and Germany fails to beat Spain, either a draw or a loss, Germany's out.
Yeah,
and Japan's
or at least on the outskirts looking in for sure.
No, they're out if Japan beats Costa Rica.
Oh, is it? They're out.
If Japan beats Costa Rica and Germany doesn't get 3 points from Spain, then Germany's out.
Yeah, head to head, and then the goal. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, it won't even be goal differential. If Germany only gets 1 from Spain, the most they can get is 4, and Japan will be on 6.
Yeah, exactly.
So
look, the Germans, they went out early last time. They had this whole reflection as a nation and federation of how to change the way that they played. They got rid of Jurgi Löw, and now they have Hansi Flick, who was the Bayern Munich manager prior to this, and obviously, had success there, although that's, how hard is that? I think either of us can manage Bayern Munich, and they probably still win the league. But, Germany, I mean, could we look at another potential World Cup where the Germans do not make it past the round of 16?
For them to fail to get out of the group stage 2 World Cups in a row would probably be worse for them as a footballing nation, to their national football psyche, if you will, than it was for the United States to miss in 2018 altogether. 100%. To go, because Germans expect to go, but like we expect to advance out of CONCACAF as sort of by as a matter of course, the Germans expect to advance to the knockout rounds of the cup as a matter of course. They don't ever expect to be eliminated in the group stage, and for it to happen twice in a row would be insane.
Oh, it would be brutal. I mean, I know we're talking about World Cup, and we certainly can get into it about the domestic leagues as we go forward and after the World Cup. Do you think, Danny Brams, that any of this has anything to do with just the dominance that Bayern Munich has shown in the Bundesliga, and how much it is so focused on one specific club in that country. Whereas, you have the Premier League, which is so deep. You have La Liga, which is not that dominant, but has some good depth to it. And you're seeing the Spanish roster, English squad is looking strong. Italians, let's take them out of it for Serie A. But, real quick, obviously, again,
let's just take the Italians out of it and forever.
Yeah. I mean, I
hope they never qualify again.
Is the Bundesliga doing this to themselves, or is this something that they're just?
No, I like the theory. It's a nice, like, sort of like deep thoughts, galaxy brain type of theory. But the fact of the matter is that this team sucks is because Kai Havertz is their starting striker. I mean, that's why they're not able to do anything. What's his name? Miroslav Klose is not walking through that door.
No, he is not.
Lucas Podolski's not walking through that door. The Germans, for a few years, had sort of a really good run of people with dual German and Polish citizenship. They'd get the very best, like, guys who also qualified for Poland would almost always choose Germany. It's too bad they couldn't have wrangled our boy Swiderski over to found him a German ancestor or something like that to sneak him in. But they probably wouldn't have started him over Kai anyway. But the whole point of this team is you're starting Havertz as your striker. He's just not he's more of a. I was talking to a friend about him earlier today. He was like I think it was Kevin Knapp from the Pool, in fact, and he was like, Kai's an Instagram model. He's not a footballer anymore. And I was like, yeah, that's not really too far off.
So. Yeah. And Timo Werner being hurt obviously didn't help them, although I don't know how much of a difference he would have made, but a more out and out striker up top there for him, like you said. So.
I mean, they could have brought in Fulkrug, but he didn't hardly do anything. Mukoko actually is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Striker for BVB for Borussia Dortmund. And it's too bad that he needs a look as a starter. I don't know. I can't see them starting Havertz up top, but it's not going to matter because the way that Spain looked.
Oh, dude,
it's just going to be insane. Like what Germany can do. It makes me. You asked me a question. Let me throw a question back at you. Are these nations, these European powers, are they just underestimating how fired up they need to be to start these tournaments these days? Because like. The kind of the previous paradigm in years past was like the big nations come in and usually sort of take a little while to get going and like grow into the tournament, is the saying. And like, not to say they don't all, not to say they're getting upset all the time, but like usually they could start slow and still win and still get 5 points, still get 6 points out of the group and not without much problem. But now we've seen a couple squads, Argentina and Germany. It's not just a European thing. What it is like a traditional powers thing, failing to get up for the game, like these underdogs that have talent that they're playing against.
Yeah, and I think it's twofold, right? So I think part of it is the fact that this is a very strange World Cup. Normally you'd have 3 months or a few weeks at least with your squad to kind of get everybody ready in the summer. Obviously, we all know, Germans are very structured. They have a very set way of doing things. That's just the way they are. And that kind of threw them off in this preparation, right? They only had 8 days or maximum to get everyone ready. Not a real camp. That's not an excuse. Everyone had the same situation. France looked very good. England looked good. Spain looked fantastic. So what was the difference? I think what you're getting at is, and I touched on this a little bit yesterday, is just the idea that they're not here. The other teams are not here because they needed to fill out the tournament roster. They're here on merit. And I think the best part about the sport is that the sport is becoming more, there's more parity in the sport. The big clubs, the rest of the world is not, separating themselves. A guy like Danny Almo, exactly perfect example, who took himself out of the Spanish.
Only picked once in the pool.
Took himself out of the Spanish, cycle of playing in Spain. Went to, Dynamo Zagreb at the start. Who would have thought that he would have gotten the experience he needed there, develops his skills, goes to RB Leipzig where he is now, and then gets selected for the Spanish nationals. There's so many opportunities, so many places to play. All these countries that are, starting to recognize and see what the game provides them. You're not looking at the Premier League being light years ahead of even the Championship anymore. Teams in the Championship are coming up in the Premier League as promotion teams, and they're in the top half. So the whole sport as a whole is just kind of changing the dynamic. It's not so much your top five. Exactly.
It's like an accordion.
It's not so much your
and
top
bottom
out
getting
this
closer
way
together.
as more is that way. So I'm not surprised. I think you're going to see more of this as we go. I think tomorrow there's going to be a couple upsets. I have a couple in mind. And I think in the years to come, as you expand the tournament, you're going to see more and more of this happening. Right or wrong, that's a different topic for debate. But I think you're going to see this as we go on into the future of the World Cup. Just more teams being able to win it.
That's a hell of a tease about the upset special for tomorrow. Let's quickly, you mentioned Spain. That is who Germany has to play next. Let's talk about Spain and just the shellacking and just look at this.
Hold on. They just scored again. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Exactly. But look, I mean, 11 minutes in, Danny Olmo scores.
Yeah.
10 minutes later, Asensio. 10 minutes after that, Torres earns a PK.
Yeah.
10 minutes after halftime, Torres scores again,
And even before that,
the game slows down. They do a round of subs.
Exactly.
10 minutes after the subs, Gavi scores, 10 minutes
even
after
before,
that.
Even before the Almo penalty kick too, they were all over them. I mean, from the set on the onset of the game. I mean, this was, you and I were texting right away. I mean, in the 5th minute, this could have been 2-0 already. I mean, this was just an absolute training session for Spain all the way around from the start. They didn't even get off the bus. They could have played their subs and they wouldn't have had any issue with this game.
Look at that. Everyone rated as 7.2 or higher, except for the goalie because he did nothing. But
it didn't do anything. If you wanted to watch a perfect game of football in action, this was the game to watch. And the what was it, 1,000 passes I think they had as a team completed, and I think at halftime it was like 490 something passes to 78 in the first half, or some ridiculous number like that. So
check it out. Yeah, 1,045 passes compared to 230. So 4.5 times as many.
It's not even fair. Costa Rica didn't touch the ball. Spain could have scored as many as they wanted. What a marker.
So my question to you off that is, did this match tell us more about Spain or more about Costa Rica?
More about Spain. Costa Rica's bad. I think Costa Rica, we knew, was not going to be, much of a player in this tournament. Maybe they surprised a few people here in the group and maybe got a point or two off of someone like Germany in the next out. Spain has always been notorious. This is Spain. This is how Spain plays. Luis Enrique was asked by press media a couple of weeks ago, do you need to change your style? The response was, why? We won the World Cup doing this. So, that's how they play. That's how they the big question for Spain has always been about goals. Can they score enough goals? Who's going to score the goals, right? Again, this is Costa Rica. We'll have to look at it next game when they play Germany, a real test. But when you put up 7.
No, they play Japan next.
Sorry, Japan, you're right. When they put up 7, that's what question is goals? Who's going to score the next goal is the question that you need to ask, not who's going to score a goal for us. So I think this showed Spain more that killer instinct as well. A guy like Javi, who 90 minutes in was still running at Costa Rica, wanting to keep going. He wasn't putting his foot down.
He's 18 years old. He could have played another 90 minutes.
Absolutely. And Pedri, both of them could have done it. But to answer your question, it showed me more about what Spain has to offer for the rest of this tournament, as opposed to how bad we knew Costa Rica already was coming into it.
Yeah, and they subbed out Jordi Alba. Yep. And this guy who came in from who I was not too familiar with, Alejandro Balde, he was electric. I mean, he was insane out there. And then Nico Williams, he's the brother of Iñaki Williams, who dominates, not dominates, but does really well in La Liga.
Yep.
A guy like, they bring in Murata off the bench. He gets a goal and an assist in 20 minutes. They didn't even have to use Sarabia, who's really good. They didn't even have to use Ansu Fati or any, these guys. Like,
if Alvaro Morata is scoring a goal for you, you're having a good day. Okay, so that's all you need to know. If Morata's putting it in the net, it's time that you should probably go home for the day.
Shout out to Ferran Torres, 2 goals, and we found out today dating the coach's daughter, Luis Enrique. So
I heard about that.
He's navigating all kinds of different emotional
I heard
connections.
About the reference a few more times than I needed to on the broadcast, but
they like got well, you know how it is when like there's a blowout and announcers start running, they start going into storytelling mode because the game's no longer in doubt. And they got a lot of storytelling on fair. They were and almost you could say speculation. It was it did get a little awkward at times.
By the way, shout out to as well a sneaky individual that I want to call out and potentially tease for something that I want to talk about towards the end of this tournament is Landon Donovan commentating and doing a fantastic job today with Ian Dark, and just an absolute, the comments that he was making, and you see it in the broadcast, you're seeing it in some of the build up on the studio, just his knowledge of the game. Could he be a potential U.S. men's national coach in the future? I wouldn't be opposed to it. That's all I'll say.
He might be coaching the next MLS expansion franchise. Also, there's talk of putting a team in Vegas or in San Diego or in Sacramento and giving Landy Cakes the reins. So who knows? We'll see. I really like Landon. I didn't love him as much as a player. I am still more of a Dempsey guy in the Dempsey Donovan dichotomy, but I've learned to respect. I think Landon. I kind of got mad at him over the Rio World Cup in 2014 when he just mishandled the whole thing of being left out, which he shouldn't have been left out, but
100%.
I felt like he mishandled that. But at this point, I really have grown to really enjoy everything I've heard from him since then. I actually really like. So Landon has only grown in my esteem since he retired, and he's the man. He's as good as it is. As much as we love seeing Pulisic run around in the Premier League and Gio Reyna dominate when healthy in the Bundes and all that, and as exciting as Musa is in La Liga and all our great American players playing in top 5 leagues, like they still haven't achieved what Landon and Clint achieved, to the greatest MLS players. So
in US circles, they're still the GOATs,
And Dempsey wasn't too bad in the Premier League himself, but let's go ahead and go with we're just about out of time here. So let's go with your tease for the upset specials of tomorrow. It's Turkey Day. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving,
it's really
everybody.
weird having the World Cup during Thanksgiving, but we're just going to go with it.
Yeah, briefly, I just want to touch on two real quick. I know we're running out of time. Obviously, Belgium and Canada, our friends up north, such a situation where they could have won that game or at least gotten a point out of it. I still think they finished second in the group. They definitely showed me more than the other two teams in there. But again, really disappointing for Canada. Thought they had a chance. We can talk on that later another time, but
I thought I wanted to talk about this game, but I don't. Belgium's not that good, and Canada choked. That's the way I see it.
That's the way I look at it.
Goal
Let's
was
get
scored
to
against
tomorrow's
the
games, and I have a couple upsets for you here, like you said. My biggest upset of the day: watch out for Ghana taking on the Portuguese. I think there's a lot of stuff going on in the Portugal camp. Obviously, the situation with Cristiano Ronaldo. Ghana, underrated, very underrated. I think you're going to see a really strong team come out of the gates, put Portugal under pressure. Can Portugal handle it? We'll find out tomorrow. A guy like Tariq Lamptey, who is obviously very popular in Premier League, is on that team. We mentioned Nico Williams' brother is going to be playing there as well, so watch out for those guys. I think Ghana surprises somebody. I also think Serbia is going to give Brazil a game. I don't think Brazil loses the game, but I think Serbia is going to surprise people with how they play, and just keep an eye out for them. Even Brazilian circles said that the Serbia game will be the toughest game for them, so who knows? Potential for a little bit of a blip there, but we'll see what happens.
They got some attacking firepower up top. You can definitely say that about Serbia for sure. So.
And then two other good games, Uruguay and South Korea. Sunming, wow, I cannot speak. He's a Spurs fan. That's why. Sunming Sung will be going, mask and everything, Batman out there. And then, Switzerland. What is going to come of the Switzerland-Cameroon game? Obviously, the second, fixture for the Brazil group. Huge implications there.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and it's not that much of a limb, and say that there is 0.00000% chance of you waking up at 2 a.m. Pacific time to watch Switzerland-Cameroon.
How much you want to bet? Because I'll put 0 on that as well.
I could bet you $100, and you would say, "Oh, I'm definitely setting an alarm to win this $100," and you still wouldn't get it.
I still wouldn't. No, not a chance. It wouldn't be even worth it. So, no, good day for tomorrow. Again, like we said, the last games of the first games of the group. That's a very confusing way of saying that, but all the games will be finished for the first wave of games after tomorrow, and then, like you said, Thanksgiving, and then Friday, we go at it, and it is a day, but we will get to that tomorrow, Danny Brams. We will not. Cannot wait, but we will get to that one tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, we'll do some extended discussion on that, I'm sure, is upcoming. So happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Really appreciate it. Everyone who watches, drop a comment and tell us how dumb we sound or how great we sound, one way or the other. We really appreciate that as well. But
real quick,
Danny, tomorrow.
Before I let you go, what is the favorite Thanksgiving side or meal of choice?
It's my mom's corn with like onions and peppers and salt, salt and pepper and red peppers, green peppers. It's just like it's like a Western rustic like corn that is just like so good, and it's the way she makes it.
I can't top that.
Unlike anything else.
I can't top that, Danny Brams. I'm not even gonna try. So
excellent. Hey, how about we do this for the meal, baby?
For the meal.